guys, welcome to my channel, Lucille Williams with ChristianTalk. Now, what I want to talk about today is a little on the heavy side because I want to talk about my dad, and my dad is an atheist, and that's really sad. It's been really sad to have a dad that's an atheist.
I'm not trying to sound flippant or anything, but if your dad being an atheist is what you consider heavy, then I've got to say, you must have a pretty easy life. Either that or you're just naive about a lot of stuff going on. When I start by saying, and this is going to get heavy, my regulars are come to expect discussions on topics such as sexual assault. Now, you and your husband preach around Los Angeles, a mere couple of hours away from the US-Mexican border, where families legally seeking asylum are having gas canisters fired at them. And whilst that's an extreme example, even then, how does your father not buying into your faith-based belief have any impact upon you at all? I am genuinely curious to find that out. So today's video comes from the channel Lucille Williams and is titled, I'm a pastor's wife, my dad is an atheist. So out of pure human curiosity, let's dive a little deeper.
But just recently, he turned 83 years old. He's 83. And he and my mom stopped by last night to visit. They live kind of far away, and so every once in a while they're in town and they'll want to come by and chat. And we were talking, and my dad goes on this rampage about how he's 83 and he's coming to the end of his life, and that every night he goes to bed and he says, well, that's it. There's another day gone. There's another day gone. And he just... it's like he's counting down his days, like it's just doomsday is coming, because he just doesn't believe in an afterlife. He doesn't believe that there's a God, so he has no hope.
How does one jump from the fact that your father seems to want to do more with his life to there being no hope? Isn't the fact that he complains a sign that he hopes for change? Like, maybe he's just stuck in a rut and needs to get out more and enjoy things like new hobbies and visit new places. Feeling that a day has been wasted is not the same as hopelessness. It's not some crushing despair, and it doesn't have to link back to the existence of an afterlife. But I will note this, the fact that he's seemingly hoping for a change of perspective and yet still doesn't accept your faith-based belief, doesn't that then tell you something about his character? He seems to want an actual solution to his problem, not the claims of a solution. Telling that sort of person to accept heaven because then they won't feel so down, will never work. They require some actual basis to ground said change in perspective, basis that both you and your God seem to be lacking.
Now, you're probably thinking, well, why don't you just share Christ with him? Why don't you just tell him about life after death, that Jesus is real and that God is real and that he can have a personal relationship with him? Well, yeah, I have many times, and even last night we were sharing some scripture with him, but he's an angry atheist, so anytime we bring it up he gets really angry. So there's always that balance between, like, when do you say something and risk him getting angry and maybe pushing him further away, or when do you say something and you know, maybe bring him a little closer. So last night we just didn't say a whole lot, we just listened. But truthfully, whether it's my birthday, his birthday, any major events where I talk to him, he's always going on about how little time he has. When he turned 40, he's like, man, my life is halfway over. Can you believe that? It's gone like that, and I'm getting older. And then when he turned 50, it was the same thing. And then when I started getting older and it was my birthday and he would call me to wish me happy birthday, it always comes, no matter how old I am, it comes with a, wow, I can't believe you're this old. You're just this old, your life's almost over, and that means that I'm older, and I can't believe that I'm 80, and I don't have that much time left, and if I calculate, these are how many years I have left. He's always calculating how little time he has left. So whether it's his birthday or my birthday, I get the same story. If it's Christmas, it's the same thing. Well, I've only got about this many Christmases left, and even if I live to 100, I've only got this many years, and that's it. And he's always talking about what he doesn't have. He talks about when he goes to bed at night that oh, there it goes, there's another one gone.
Again, I'm not trying to be harsh here, but you seem to be trying to turn what sounds to be a tough time for your dad into something that's all about you. That's a behaviour that's not particularly healthy. Call me your secular conscience on the matter if you so desire. Here to share my thoughts on what you're talking about from a secular humanist perspective. Have you thought of maybe helping your dad into new hobbies or new experiences in general? I get that you're a pastor's wife, but surely you can understand that there are people in society that want nothing to do with your religion. And that fact doesn't then mean you should just shut down on them as a result. If he's genuinely acting the way you describe, he does seem to be contemplating a lot of things about life and our time on this earth in general, and he needs help in exploring that. But when every time it comes up you try to bring that back around to Jesus, even though he's repeatedly expressed no interest in faith-based responses to a situation, that's troubling. That's you sticking your sword in the ground and going, "We won't help you unless you convert," which is not a healthy power dynamic for any relationship. What's more is, if he's picking up on this, that may explain the angry atheist response that you're receiving. He comes to you as family, hoping to talk things out. He may not know how to best express that in said terms, but he's made clear that religion is not an option to him. And yet when he does that, every time you bring it back to the Bible in some way. And it's not entirely your fault. The Bible has given you ideas about its abilities that fall short by a long stretch. Take it from an ex-Christian, well versed in the Bible. I find nothing of hope in said book. And even if I did, said hope is not enough to make me believe in something not otherwise validated. You may not fully understand that, but your understanding is not really necessary. It just is. So you can decide to help him or ignore that.
And he told us last night that he's starting to realize he needs to just appreciate the moments he has and be appreciative for each moment. Very true. My husband reminded him that that's quite biblical, that's what the Bible says too. However, he just has such a horrible way of looking at things. And I always tell him, I say, "Dad, all we have is today. All any of us have is today. We don't know that we're going to go into old age. We don't know that we're going to have tomorrow. All we have is today." And that is biblical. All we have is right now. We don't know what's going to happen when we walk away from wherever we're at right now. I mean, a lot of things happen in this life, and we're not promised tomorrow. But we are promised eternity, because God promises eternity to us. When we die, we face God, and either God says, "Come on in," or he says, "I don't know you. I don't know you." So the main thing we need to do is be right with God. But if my dad would just embrace that God is real, then he wouldn't have to count down his life. Instead, it would be, this is how many more days I have until I reach glory. Because once we go to heaven, that's glory. We get to glory. As we age, we get closer to glory. We get closer to spending every day with Jesus Christ, every day with God. But just being around my dad can just be like, it's just so taxing sometimes, because he's just continually counting down how little time he has left. And I know every time I talk to him, I'm going to get a story about how much little time he has left and how old he is and how quick it goes. And it's just really sad. And I hope that one day that when I share with him, he will hear what I have to say and he will receive it. And that's always my plan. The older he gets, the more I'm going to share. And if it ever gets to that day where we know that he's probably, what is going on with my hair? Anyway, we know that he's probably doesn't have much time left, then I know I'm gonna hit him with the gospel again. And I'm gonna say, "Hey, this could be your last chance and you need to trust me on this." And, that's just a sad thing. So I don't know, do you have any atheists in your life? Is it difficult to talk to them? Do you have loved ones that you want to share with? I mean, just keep sharing, because you never know when they will be open to the hope that we have in Jesus Christ, because without it's kind of hopeless.
No, it really isn't. And I think your father was showing that in the example you started to raise. in how the night before he started talking about a change in perspective. He started talking about appreciating each day as it comes. Yes, it's cliche, but it's cliche for a reason. From this, it seems like he could be starting to develop a very simple and rudimentary perspective to better enjoy his final days. And it is heartbreaking to hear how all you and your husband could do is once again turn this back to you in coming at him with the Bible. The enjoyment of life and the appreciation of each day is not a biblical perspective. It's a human perspective which supersedes both the Bible and its authors. We know this for an objective fact because, much like morality, it developed in numerous isolated populations prior to the Bible being written and spread. Call it convergent meaning if you will. By that I mean an item of meaning arrived at by distinct populations of people, by their own devices, without influencing one another. Much like convergent ethics, this kind of puts a whole spanner in the works of the idea that Christianity is some sort of special perspective when it comes to either meaning or ethics. But what's rather sickening here is your admittance that you plan to keep pushing your religion onto your father, right up to the moment they die. Why is this sad? Well, earlier when I talked about how it's not entirely your fault, I wanted to explain how your father likely sees your attempts at conversion. Speaking as a fellow atheist, I'd see that as either a predatory move by someone I had previously trusted, an abuse of that trust used to try and gain some sort of divine favour for a being not even proven to exist, at the expense of that relationship. Something which is truly heart-wrenching. On the other hand, I may see it as a completely misguided attempt by someone I had until then believed not only to be my family, but to know me well enough to know that this offered me no comfort. That faith is only an empty promise which offers zero security. So for your ignorance of me as a person, you're wasting the last time we have together. Now there are other possibilities, yes, but from the way you have described them in this video, these are the most likely I see occurring. And I have to ask, is that what you want your father's last thoughts to be? To be him questioning about whether he meant so little to you, that you preyed on his weakened state to try and earn brownie points with some unproven god, or whether you had been so distant that you genuinely felt that this could work. Are you willing to live with that on your conscience? If you want my genuine advice, put aside the Bible. Your dad knows that your husband is a pastor. He knows you also preach on the matter. If he is interested, he will come to you. Next time he talks about enjoying the moment, celebrate that, encourage him, tell him about some of the things you've seen people his age really get into. Really embrace what he's trying to do. But most of all, if you really do believe in an all-knowing, all-just deity, trust in them. If they're all-knowing and all-just, they'll know your father's reasons for not believing, and they will decide the correct course of action when they pass away. If you don't trust an all-knowing, all-just deity, well then, that's a whole different topic which you'll need to put some personal thought into. Those are just my words of advice. Take them, ignore them as you wish. Hi there, I'd just like to say a few things here at the end of the video before you go. First, I'd like to thank everyone who's ever donated to the channel via Patreon, giving a special thanks to the following people: Hannah Banghart, Matthew Kovac, Brad R, John Schoenrock, Alexander Williams, Ernst Puna, and Daniel Martinez. Your support has ensured this channel its ability to grow over the years, and really is the only thing that manages to keep the channel afloat. I'd also like to ask that you comment down below and like this video, as well as subscribe and follow Essence of Thought on Facebook and Twitter. Please also consider following Atheist Alliance International on Facebook, an organisation dedicated to helping atheists around the globe. Any comments utilising language which insults others on the basis of perceived gender, sexuality, ethnicity or ability both mental and physical will be removed immediately, and the commenter may be blocked on the moderator's discretion. Let's keep this space one which upholds the humanist values. Thank you.